Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Grab your coffee, put your feet up. Today we have Cale Brubaker, head men's basketball coach, Southeastern Fire. Buckle up. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing you NAIA basketball from across the nation, one podcast at a time. Hey, today we speak with Cale Brubaker, head men's basketball coach, Southeastern University. They are the Fire. This is Coach Brubaker's first head coaching position, but he's always played on winners. He's been around winning coaches. He's worked with winning coaches his whole basketball career. He's learned from some of the top coaches in the country. A lot of excitement with Coach Brubaker arriving in Lakeland. Coach is looking forward to build on Coach Welty, one of his best friends. Coach Welty had a lot of success at Southeastern last season. He's looking to build on it. Let's take a listen to Cale Brubaker, head men's basketball coach, Southeastern Fire. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Cale Brubaker on the phone, head men's basketball coach, Southeastern Fire. Welcome, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Billy, for having me. Been doing these for the last couple of years. I don't think I've missed one, so really appreciate given the chance to be on here with you.
Well, you're new to Southeastern, but you're certainly not new to either basketball or coaching. I'm going to go way back first. You played on a MNU, a Mid-American Nazarene Pioneer team. I think you went to 2 Fab Fours, and it was a really good team. And you were one of the better 3-point shooters in the country when you were there. How did being part of such a great program at Mid-America, how did that influence you becoming a coach?
Great question. My years were super transformative for me. And that just had so much to do the people and caring about each other and investing in people. And, obviously spent 4 years there and we had some remarkable success in my playing time there. But more than that, Coach Keeley recruited me when I was 17. And then I was able to work with him for the last 5 years, 3 at OUAZ and the last 2 at Northwest before I got here to Southeastern. But, and Coach Lamar preached this, when we were playing, but it's all about relationships. And, the guys who are at MNU, truly bought into that. And, some of my best friends in the world are from my college years at MNU. I got to officiate one of my college teammates' weddings, which was super cool a couple years back. Yeah. And so it's an unbelievable place MNU was. We had some great success on the court, but more than anything, just the investing in people and building relationships has carried me, through my adult life for sure.
Southeastern Fire, they have a great basketball history there. And then your friend Hudson Welty just was coaching there before you. He had a good year last year. What was it about Southeastern Fire when they came calling? You said, yes, this is an opportunity I definitely want to take. What was it about?
Yeah, so many things. And I think the first thing for me was if you just look across the board at the athletics here at Southeastern, literally every program is good. Softball made the national title game last year. Football, our volleyball team this year is off to an unbelievable start. Women's basketball is a tournament team. Coach Hudd and the team last year made the tournament, won a game there. Just across the board and the excellence within the athletic department is something that I was just drawn to. And we got to play them, in our Final Four run at OUAZ. And, just the way they traveled, the way they conducted themselves, you could just tell it was a awesome program and awesome athletic department. And so, being at Northwest the last couple of years, and getting a chance to get the first head coaching job was something that hey, even though it's late July and man, we're going to be in a whirlwind here for a couple months, it was something that I couldn't pass up for sure.
You mentioned that OUAZ Southeastern game. I remember that game. Riley Minix, of course, was Southeastern's Fire main guy then. And, he was an Ironman. He averaged 37 minutes a game. And I talked to him about a month after that game. And I said, you were out there all game and they were just rolling guys on the court. He goes, yeah, every time I looked up, they were bringing in another guy. And
Yeah.
I didn't know how much longer I could go. Toward the end, he started running out of gas. But I remember that game vividly.
Yeah, I was actually fortunate enough to meet Riley, in person, when I got down here end of July.
Oh,
Awesome
really?
guy, going to be great. Yeah, going to be a great resource for us. And he's been in the gym and he's working out. I mean, for him to, in his Southeastern days to work his way up to Division I and now professionally, I mean, just what an unbelievable
Yeah.
work ethic he's had and the high character guy he is. It's been fun for sure. But yeah, the goal of that game, they only played about six and a half guys. So the goal of that game is to wear those dudes out, and our play fast was man. Hopefully they'll run out of gas, and we were fortunate to win that one.
So you've played you've coached all different levels. You've been in D1 programs, D2, NAIA. Where do you say I ask this question a lot. Where do you say, just your honest opinion, where do you say NAIA stacks up with other levels you've been around?
Yeah, it's so tricky. People
Yeah.
always try to get to compare and all that stuff. And, I think the best schools at the NAIA level can compete with the really good schools of Division II.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the MIAA the last couple of years, and what an unbelievable league. And but, the best programs, the best, cultures at the NAIA level, they can compete with some of the best schools, Division II, even Division I. Our first year in Arizona, my first year out in Arizona, we beat Division I Denver.
Yeah, I remember
like
that.
the second week of the season, and so and some of those, it's hey, you might not beat them 7 out of 10 times, but on any given night you can maybe get them once or twice out of 10, and so I just know that this level's got some really, really good players and some really, really good coaches, and obviously what we dealt with the GSAC out in Arizona and the hard at Mid-America. But man, I've seen some of these teams play on film, and the Sun Conference is going to be no joke this year. I mean, so many good teams and so many unique play styles, and so it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be fun to compete against some of the best at this level, and I'm just excited to get rolling.
Well, let's stay with that just for a moment. That's something I wanted to ask you about. If you look at the Sun, I mean, it top to bottom, you got Ave Maria, Kaiser, Florida Memorial. They're always really tough. I'm going to leave some teams out, but Coastal Georgia's been playing really well. Anyway, it's always tough top to bottom. And the bad thing is, you drop a game, it's hard to make it up because it's not a very big conference. Talk about your outlook and what you see looking around that conference.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Just top to bottom. And we don't play, some of these leagues play so many conference games, play 22, play 24 conference games. When we only play 16, man, the value it places on each and every game throughout conferences just is so high. And, obviously with some of the teams that have been really good the last couple of years, but Coastal Georgia's on the come up, and some of these other teams that, maybe were, 500 this past year, but man, you look at some of the dudes that they've brought in and some of the recruits they've brought in, oh my gosh, the league's going to be, I think, as talented as ever. And, man, it's going to be a challenge. Our group has to be, ready night in and night out. And, in addition to our league being, what we feel is one of the best in the country, our region being the best in the country, our non-con is going to be awesome this year. We got a couple top five teams in the country on the non-con, and just kind of with what Southeastern had last year, unfortunately didn't play quite as many national tournament teams in the non-con. Well, Coach Hudd, he went and got some teams for the non-con, and we're playing some absolute awesome programs this year. And so for us and these guys, we got to be ready from the get-go because, man, we got some awesome teams in front of us.
Yeah, you're going to play Grace and Arizona Christian. You're going to get tested. Where do you play Arizona Christian? Out there, or are they coming to you?
No, we're playing out there. We go out to Arizona Christian, playing at ACU, and then Embry-Riddle, who I think they were really close last year, and they bring a lot back. And so, man, we're going to play 2 really good teams out in Arizona, right. And hopefully get a chance to check out the Grand Canyon or something while we're out there and get these Florida guys a chance to see the West Coast a little bit.
So, Cale, quick question. Arizona Christian, I think it's a really tough place to play. You've been there many times. Do you think it's an advantage to you that you've been You've had so many games as a coach in there to be able to prepare the guys a little bit better for going in there.
Yeah, I would like to think so. I haven't had a lot of success in there. Jeff Rutter wins about
Yeah.
98% of his games in there. Just an unbelievable program, awesome program, and so much more than that. I mean, his Coach Rutter's in-game adjustments and game plans are some of the best out there. And so obviously, we're going to go into that thing, believing, hey, man, we can play with anybody in the country and we can compete with those guys. And there's nothing more fun than huge road wins early in the season to make a little statement for yourself, especially with, shoot, a group that, we bring a couple key guys back, but also lost a lot of production. My first year as a head coach, we got to come in with a chip on our shoulder, ready to prove something every night, every game.
You're putting together a roster right now. As you do that, when you evaluate guys, I always ask this question: what are some of your non-negotiables, both on the court and off the court?
Yeah, I tell this story all the time, and I'm sure a bunch of people who will listen to this will be like, God, Cale, you've told that story 20 times. But, our Fab Four year in Arizona at Ottawa, we played College of Idaho, and unbelievable program, awesome coach and Coach Blaine, and they were obviously a big zone team. That was the third time that group had played them. They had beat us at their place in the national tournament the previous year. They kicked our butt. Kind of that first weekend of that our second year there, and then got to play them in the Fab Four. And finally we thought we were able to finally crack the zone a little bit and get some pretty good looks. And we end up going. I'm gonna miss the number, but we were like 3 for 21 from 3 in the first half against those guys, and we felt like we got a bunch of good looks, and we ended up losing that game by 1. Made an awesome comeback, only to come up a little bit short. But the biggest thing for me is shooting. We are 1 point away from playing for a national title, and we go 3 for 21 from 3 in the first half. And so, man, anytime we look for recruiting, you might be 7 foot and can dunk everything and be super athletic, but by and large, most guys on the team aren't going to be that. And so, man, you got to be able to shoot the basketball. It's such a premium in our game right now, and just the way we play offensively with the spacing that we have. If defenses are able to play off you and be heavy help off you, like it makes our offense, a little bit easier to guard. And so obviously shooting is going to be a big one for me. It's how we've thrived at this level. Josiah De La Cerda, Bryce Fitzgerald were 2 5s who shot like 50% from 3 for us out at Ottawa. And, it was a game changer for us. Guys that can spread the floor, it just makes us so much harder to guard. And then obviously high character guys. The one thing for me kind of off the court is, you can tell a lot about a guy, just as a winner, as a competitor, that stuff, when you go see him live, like you don't see in the stat sheet, how much they're diving on the floor, their reactions when they get taken out, are they cheering their teammates on? Are they high-fiving their teammates when guys come out? I mean, so many of those intangible things is what we're looking for. And so, high-character guys that are about winning, about the right stuff. And then, man, if you can shoot 40 plus from 3, I'm gonna be taking a good hard look at you for sure.
Yeah, well, you're a shooter yourself, so that makes sense. And you're right. If you can't shoot the ball, you're in trouble. There's nothing more deadly than a guy on your roster that can just break your heart, those kick out threes. Or when you basically signed on at Southeastern, I think you commented that their faith-based mission was important to you. Can you talk about what that means to you and to the basketball program?
Yeah, for sure. The NAIA level is super special to me. It's where I got my start. I was not a highly recruited guy coming out of high school, and Mid-America Coach Keeley took a chance on me. And, for my 4 years there, the experience that I had, just the people investing in me, the chapels, just some of the conversations you can have at schools like that was super impactful in my, transformative college years, and then even out in Arizona, at Ottawa, that was, I got my start at Division I UTSA, which was unbelievable. Worked for an awesome staff in those 5 years there. But even out at Ottawa, like, getting a chance to be an assistant coach for the first time, and some of the conversations we would have with guys, and they were trying to decide if they come back for their COVID year, their extra year, and
Yep.
we ended that year with Colton Head and Devin Collins and some of those guys, and we kind of struggled for a little bit there in January, February, and man, those guys just really dove deep into the faith aspect, and talking in chapel with some of those guys, and we still talk to all those guys today. But Northwest was awesome to me. Those 2 years were so great for me, and such a great learning experience. But getting back to, I just think there's certain conversations and certain things you can do at a Christian school like this, and sitting in chapel with certain guys that, hey, some guys maybe have heard some of this all their life, and some are maybe hearing it for the first time, and just being able to be a resource for them and helping those guys as they figure out who they are and what they believe, and just being a resource for them, and helping those guys as they're 18 to 22, 23. We might have a 24-year-old this year, but we'll keep that a little hush hush. But
yeah, nobody knows now.
Yeah, nobody knows. But I love the aspect. I love what it brings. Getting to pray with guys in the locker room, getting to have certain conversations that just aren't as prominent at a public school.
Cale, last question for you. You're taking over a program historically has had a lot of success, 25-win season last season. How do you maintain that success and still put your mark on this program?
Yeah, Coach Hudd was only here for 2 years, but man, what an unbelievable job he did. And he's one of my best friends. And, he just, this last year they were, won a game in the national tournament, 125. I just think it's such a strong foundation that I'm walking in. And, for me, it's obviously we're going to play a little bit different. I mean, we're from the same coaching tree, so there's not going to be a ton different. But it's just, placing my beliefs, my play fast, some of the culture stuff that I want to bring in, but also knowing that there's a great foundation. Like, we're not starting from ground zero. We're not starting a rebuild. We're not starting, from scratch. And so the foundation is set, and Coach X, my assistant, and Drew, in this transition period, those two did an unbelievable job of holding the roster together and communicating with those guys. And, we don't believe this is a year where we would take a step back. We believe that, man, we're trying to build on what they did last year. And obviously, the loss to Grace, who's year in and year out one of the best teams in the country, hopefully, we're right back at that same spot, playing for a chance to go to Kansas City and be in that round of 16. And then once you get to Kansas City, we found out who knows what can happen, who's hot at the right time and playing their best basketball. And so, yeah, we feel like we got a great foundation, obviously some new guys, some new transfers that we think are going to be awesome for us, and obviously a couple of key guys coming back. But it's just a great opportunity for me. We're going to do some similar stuff that Coach Hudd did, but also tweak some things that I think can give us a really good chance to win a lot of ball games here.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time and talking to us. We got to get you back on as we get a little bit closer, when we start playing some games, talk more about in more detail about the Fire. But I'm really anxious to see what you get going down there at Southeastern, down there in Lakeland.
Yeah, appreciate it, Billy. And anytime you want me on, I'll be willing to come on, and love getting a chance to talk NAIA and NAIA hoops and Fire basketball.
All right. Thank you. That's Cale Brubaker. He's head men's basketball coach, Southeastern Fire. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Billy. Talk to you soon.
Hey, Coach Brubaker is going to do a great job down there for the Fire. I'm really looking forward to this season starting. This is it for the week. That's all you get this week. 3. I'm still on summertime. I'm still on my summer schedule. We'll be back on Monday. Hey, thanks a lot for watching and listening to Cascade Hoops Talk. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for following Cascade Hoops Talk. I can't wait to see you all again next time on Cascade Hoops Talk, the voice of NAIA men's basketball.